Hey everybody, Tony's back, and today I'm going to be going over all the white cards from Throne of Eldraine. This set looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really into the grim fairy tale type stuff, and I really like knights and high fantasy, so this set looks like it's going to be one of my favorites of all time. I absolutely love the flavor. Some of the stuff I'll probably laugh at while I'm reading them to you and going over all of exactly what the cards do. I'm not going to just go with limited or just constructed. I'm going to kind of go over each card and just tell you my original thoughts, basically. Hopefully you enjoy it. So the first card we're going to go on, we're going to start with white. It's Acclaimed Contender. It's 2 and a white for a human knight, 3/3. It says, when it enters the battlefield, if you control another knight, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a knight, aura, equipment, or legendary artifact card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So let's look at it. You know, we got a 3 mana 3/3. I'm already pretty happy with that. And as long as you have another knight on the battlefield, this card is a really top pick. You just got to make sure you're in the Knights deck. Otherwise, it's just a 3 mana 3/3, which is like Centaur Courser, which was fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but if you're in the Knights deck, which I assume pretty much everything is going to have some Knights, I think this is going to be a good pick for you. And constructed, I don't know. I can't seeing this card be that good of a card. I don't know how good the Knights deck is going to be, but I'm assuming it's not going to be good. Most tribal decks aren't that great. Alright, next is going to be All That Glitters. It's 1 and a white for an enchantment aura, enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact and or enchantment you control. Just by doing like a quick scan all through the set before, there is actually a lot of artifacts and enchantments that I'm going to want to play. And this one at the minimum gives +1/+1. I'm just never a big fan of auras to begin with. This is certainly not constructed playable. And even if it's a late pick, I guess it would be fine. But I'm not really high on this card. I'm not going to be picking it early. Next we have the Archon of Absolution. It's 3 and a white for a 3/2 flying Archon. I'm not really sure what an Archon is, but that's beside the point, really. It's got protection from white, which means it can't be blocked, targeted, dealt damage, enchanted, or equipped by anything white. Creatures can't attack you or a planeswalker you control unless their controller pays 1 for each of those creatures. I love this card. This card is so good. So, a 4 mana 3/2 flyer is always just an average card. So, I'm going to be happy with that. The fact that it has protection from white is great. And the fact that it makes it harder for your opponents to attack you. I mean, sometimes, especially if they have like a army of small creatures, it's going to be very hard for them to be able to attack into you profitably without advancing their board. So this is a definite high pick all the time. And constructed, probably not again. But, you know, it'd be at least fun to play around with it at least. Ardenvale Paladin. It's 3 and a white for a 2/5 human knight. It has adamant. This is the first time I'm going to see this word, so I'll let you guys all know what it is. It says if at least 3 white mana was spent to cast this spell, Ardenvale Paladin enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it. So any of the adamant cards are going to be 3 of whatever color the card happens to be, and something will happen if you happen to use that mana. Most of the time, you want to try to use it with the adamant, but I mean, take this card for instance. It's a 4 mana 2/5. That is not a card I ever want to play. At 4 mana 3/6, I would certainly play, but getting that 3 white mana is going to be kind of difficult. You're probably not going to be doing it on turn 4 either, most of the time. So this card, I'm not too happy with the adamant ability on it. And I'm not going to be taking this one very highly. Next we have the Ardenvale Tactician. It's 1 white for a human knight with flying. I love that, first of all. Just a 3 mana 2/3 flyer is a great card. But it's even better than that. We have it's got an adventure on it, and this is the first adventure, so I'll explain this one too. So instead of casting it as a creature, you can instead cast it as, like, this one's an instant. So you could cast the Dizzying Swoop. It's 1 and a white for an instant adventure. Tap up to 2 creatures. Then exile this card. You may cast this creature later from exile. So every adventure card is a 2-for-1, and that's awesome. Generally, you want to use the adventure to just kind of get your money's worth out of each card. This card in particular, though, sometimes it's just turn 3 and you just need a 2/3 flying creature, and that's perfectly acceptable too. You can do that. But if you do want to get the most, you should use the adventure first on most cards. Next, we've got a Bartered Cow. It's 3 and a white for a 3/3 Ox. When Bartered Cow dies, or when you discard it, create a food token. A food token, since it's the first one, we'll go over it. It's an artifact with 2 and tap it. Sacrifice this artifact, you gain 3 life. A 4-mana 3/3 is always just a fine card. The fact that it has a little bit of upside means this is a little better than your average card, and I'm always happy with that. I really like the flavor, because when the cow dies, you get food. It's like, do you want a hamburger? Yes, please. Alright, next, we've got the Beloved Princess. It's a 1-mana, 1/1 human noble with lifelink. The Beloved Princess can't be blocked by creatures with power 3 or greater. This card looks really bad to me. 1/1 lifelink is not a playable card for the most part. The only one that I can think of recently was like the Healer's Hawk, but that had flying, and Mentor helped it get a little bigger. And so if you want this card to be playable, you really need to make its power bigger. But other than that, this is just really not a playable card at all. Don't be taking this. Now the next one, this is a good card. We have the Charming Prince. It's 1 and a white for a 2/2 human noble. When it enters the battlefield, you get to choose one of 3 different options. The first one is Scry 2. The second one is you gain 3 life. The third one is exile target creature you control or you own. Return that to the battlefield under your control at the beginning of the next end step. Which is basically just kind of like blinking it. So if it has any enters the battlefield effects, or you have other things that trigger when a creature enters the battlefield, it's all going to trigger again. And this card starts as a 2-mana 2/2, which is great. That's perfectly on curve. That's what you want. And the fact that you get to do all these other things, or one of them, oh, I love it. I love everything about this card. I know it's going to see constructed play, and I know you should probably take it relatively highly. I mean, it's not a bomb by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a solidly good card. Speaking of bombs, here we go. The Circle of Loyalty. It's 4 white for a legendary artifact. That means you can only have 1 of it. If you happen to get 2 in your deck, you can only have 1 at a time. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each knight you control. So if you're in the Knight's deck, this thing could cost as little as 2 mana, which is going to be good because creatures you control get +1/+1 while it's out. Whenever you cast a legendary spell, create a 2/2 white knight creature token with vigilance. So keep in mind too that when you cast that legendary spell and it makes it 2/2, it's actually going to be a 3/3 because it gets the +1/+1. But, that would be good enough. But then there's more. It's 3 and a white, and you can tap it to make a 2/2 white knight creature with vigilance. So that's going to be fantastic. Take this highly in your limited pools. If you're making a constructed knight deck, you absolutely should have at least a few of these in your deck, because it's going to be really strong and really going to help you. For real cheap. Deafening Silence. It's a single white mana for an enchantment. Each player can't cast more than 1 non-creature spell each turn. Now, the first time I read this, I did not read that it was non-creature spell. So make sure you recognize that you can cast as many creatures as you want. The art on this card kind of scares me. But this is not, you don't want to take this in your limited deck. Constructed, in standard, I can't see this being too much. In the older formats, like the farther back you go, the better this card is going to get. This card pretty much, aside from the Faithless Looting ban, absolutely destroyed the Izzet Phoenix deck in Modern. Rip to my birds. Okay, next we've got the Fairy Guide Mother. It's a single white mana for a 1/1 flying fairy, but it also has an adventure that it can go on. The adventure is called Gift of the Fae. It's 1 and a white for a sorcery. It says target creature gets +2/+1 and flying until end of turn. So I said before I didn't like the 1/1 with lifelink. The 1/1 flyer, I would also not 100% like as just a creature. But the fact that it's also a like a bump with the target creature gets +2/+1 and flying for the adventure, I think that's certainly going to make it worth it as an actual card. And I plan on taking these pretty like above the halfway mark. Because, I mean, if you put a piece of equipment on this, it's going to be fine. And the fact that you are making one of your other creatures get flying and +2/+1, you're probably going to get about 5 damage in with just the first part of the spell. So, yeah, you want to take that card. Definitely no constructed relevance. Next, we have Flutter Fox. It's 1 and a white for a 2/2 fox. As long as you control an artifact or enchantment, Flutter Fox has flying. As I said earlier, there's a lot of artifacts and enchantments in this set, so I think Flutter Fox is going to have flying quite a bit, actually. And a 2 mana flying 2/2 creature is like amazing. So I think this is going to be the key to a lot of good white decks. If you are going white and you see this, I would probably take this relatively early if I were you, because someone else will take it if they're also playing white. Next, we've got Fortifying Provisions. It's 2 and a white for an enchantment. Creatures you control get +0/+1. Okay, just if I were to just stop there, I kind of like it. It's okay. Making your creatures a little tougher is good. Maybe it'll help them win a couple battles. I usually like more power than toughness, but that's just me. But it also says when Fortifying Provisions enters the battlefield, create a food token. We've already gone over those. This card seems okay. I'm not going to be taking any more than 1 in a deck, and that's at the most. Even the fact that it creates a food token, I don't know how much white needs food tokens. I haven't seen any anything that uses the food tokens, so this card just seems okay. It's nothing you should prioritize at all. But if you have one, it'll help you win some combats for sure. Next, I have Giant Killer. It's a 1 mana 1/2 human peasant with 1 and a white. Tap it to tap target creature. We've had those in the past, and those are always like first picks. I mean, it shuts down the best creature your opponent has every turn. And you 100% want this card. Like, this is like Windmill Slam type kind of card. And it also has an adventure it can go on. It's Chop Down. 2 and a white for an instant adventure. Destroy target creature with power 4 or greater. Okay, so not only do you have this great creature that, is very defensive, but then you can also destroy a creature that's bothering you, like beforehand. This is a great card. Definitely 100% take it all the way. I can definitely see this being in a few constructed decks on a more defensive level. Glass Casket's coming up next with 1 and a white for an artifact. When Glass Casket enters the battlefield, exile target creature an opponent controls with converted mana cost 3 or less until Glass Casket leaves the battlefield. Hopefully it never does. I really, really like this card. We saw this with, I think it was like Baffling End a couple sets ago, and it's always a great card. One thing you have to be kind of wary of is there's actually a lot of artifact destruction. So when you put this on a creature, it might be coming back. Just kind of be aware of that when you're using it. Next, we have Happily Ever After. It's 2 and a white for an enchantment. When Happily Ever After enters the battlefield, each player gains 5 life and draws a card. Oh, big group hug. At the beginning of your upkeep, if there are 5 colors among permanents you control, comma, there are 6 or more card types among permanents you control and or cards in your graveyard, and your life total is greater than or equal to your starting life total, you win the game. There's nothing I want to do more than make a deck that wins with Happily Ever After. I 100% want to do it. In Constructed. I really think this is a relatively easy way to win the game. And it's just a good way to finish the game. In Limited, it's going to be tough. You really have to play 5 colors, and I can't see this really being a limited card, but Constructed, oh yeah. Oh, there's going to be so many people brewing with that, and I really think it's going to be a strong card. Next, we got the Harmonious Archon. Again, with these Archons, I don't really know what they are, so it looks like spirits of some kind. This is 4 white for a creature Archon 4/5 with flying. It says non-Archon creatures have base power and toughness 3/3. That is all other creatures, basically, or non-Archon creatures. When Harmonious Archon enters the battlefield, create 2 1/1 white human creature tokens. But guess what? When those 1/1s come into play, they're actually 3/3s, which is awesome. So you're getting a 6 mana 4/5 flyer is already a great card. The fact that it is making all your other opponent's creatures, just 3/3s, he's still going to be bigger, so he's going to be very defensive. And you're getting 2 more 3/3s. This is really, really strong, and I really like it. Take this one first pick, 100%, and then just go white. You'll be fine. Constructed, I don't know. It's 6 mana. We'll see. Yeah, it's just a 6 mana creature at this point in Constructed, and I don't see that being too strong of a card. Next, we have Hushbringer. 1 and a white for a 1/2 fairy with flying and lifelink. Creatures entering the battlefield or dying don't cause abilities to trigger. I know Tocatli Honor Guard got a lot of Constructed play, and this is, I don't want to say better, because at least that was a 1/3. This is only a 1/2. But at least you can attack with this, because it has flying and lifelink. So 100% this is going to see play in Constructed. And in Limited, yeah, it might be more of a sideboard card. You could play it, because it is still just a 1/2 flying lifelinker. But that's up to you. I'm never a big fan of small flying creatures like this. The art is amazing. Yeah, Bastion Duhame. Is that what that says? Yeah, I think so. You did a great job. Nice job. Next, we have Knight of the Keep. It's a 2 and a white for a human knight, 3/2, and that's it. It is just your average 3/2 creature. So if you need a 3/2 creature, I would take him. But you probably don't need too many 3/2 creatures, especially not in a set this strong. So I wouldn't expect you to be taking too many of these. But it does help you with your other knight synergies. Constructed, forget it. You'll never see them. Next, we have Linden, the Steadfast Queen. It is white for a 3/3 human noble legendary creature. Obviously, there's only one Linden. She has an amazing sword. Look at that. That sword's gigantic. She has vigilance, and whenever a white creature you control attacks, you gain 1 life. That includes her, by the way. So 3/3 vigilance for 3 and gains life. I'll take it. Yeah, 100%. You want that card. Next, we have the Lonesome Unicorn. It's 4 and a white for a 3/3 unicorn with vigilance. A 5 mana 3/3 vigilance wouldn't be a pickable card, but it does have a sorcery, an adventure with it called Rider in Need. It's 2 and a white for a sorcery adventure. Create a 2/2 white knight creature token with vigilance. Just something for to The rider needs a horse, and the horse needs someone to ride. Not horse, it's a unicorn. The unicorn needs someone to ride it. So they pair well. So I know you're overpaying for the unicorn, but if you are getting the 2/2 knight plus that, maybe it's good enough. Maybe. I would have to play with this to really see. Hopefully you just have a lot of mana. This is not the kind of set where you want to do 24-16. You really want to go with the full 17 or maybe even 18 lands, because you're just going to have stuff to do with your mana all the time. Next we have the Mysterious Pathlighter. It's 2 and a white for a 2/2 fairy with flying. Each creature you control that has an adventure enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. It doesn't need to have gone on the adventure first. This card's fantastic. 3 mana flying 2/2 is good. It's about where you want to be. Sometimes it's only a 2/1 for 3, so you're kind of getting a little bit of a good deal there too. And oftentimes you're going to get a lot of creatures with additional +1/+1 counters. Like even just take that last card, the unicorn. If that were a 5 mana 4/4 vigilance, oh, now we're talking. That's a great card. So this one seems like a really, really strong card and an early pick if you're going to be in the adventure deck. Definitely do it. Constructed, no, I don't see this at all. No, that's never going to happen. Outflank. It's a single white mana for an instant. It says Outflank deals damage to target attacking or blocking creature equal to the number of creatures you control. So you have a 1 mana removal spell that's extremely conditional. One thing you have to worry about is that your opponent could kill off a couple of your creatures in response to you casting this, so it would deal less damage. It's just something to be aware of. That, you know, you might think it's going to deal 4 damage because you have 4 creatures, but then they kill off 2 of them, and all of a sudden, you know, it's only dealing 2 damage, and they're come crashing in. So, just something to be aware of. Next, we have the Prized Griffin. It's 4 and a white for a 3/4 flying griffin. That's it. It's not bad. If this is what you want another flying creature, then yeah, go for it. But it's not a great card. It's just an average card. Let's see, what's next? We have Rally for the Throne. It's 2 and a white for an instant. This says create 2 1/1 white human creature tokens. With Adamant, where if you use 3 white mana to cast it, you gain 1 life for each creature you control. So this could be you get 2 1/1s, gain minimum of 2 life. I would take that. Honestly, for the instant 2 1/1 white human creatures, that's fine too. I don't have a problem with that. This card seems really good, just overall. If you can do the Adamant, great. If you can't, that's fine too. Sometimes you just need 2 1/1 white creature tokens at instant speed. It's great for blockers. It's great at the end of their turn so they can attack. So overall, I think that's going to be a relatively high pick. Next, we have the Realm Cloaked Giant. It's 5 white, which is a lot of mana, but you get paid off for it. It's a 7/7 vigilance creature. The 7 mana 7/7 vigilance is about right, but you actually get a bonus. You get a sorcery adventure with it called Cast Off. It's 3 white for a sorcery that says destroy all non-giant creatures. So absolutely, if you can cast off first and your opponent already has like 3 creatures out and you destroy them all, and then you get your 7/7 vigilance in a couple turns, yeah, that's perfect. This card seems like a really high pick. Righteousness. This is a single white mana for an instant that says target blocking creature gets +7/+7 until end of turn. That's an awful lot of defensive power. But overall, I mean, it's not going to help you deal any damage. It's not going to help you kill your opponent. So it's pretty much a 1 mana battle trick that probably will kill your opponent's creature, as long as they don't kill your creature first. Like if you cast this and they kill it, it's kind of a waste of 2 cards. But if not, then hopefully you're gonna be able to eat your opponent's creature. So next there's Shepherd of the Flock. It's 1 and a white for a 3/1 human peasant. 3/1 for 2 is about right. There's a lot of the Prowling Caracal and things like that. Has no special abilities, except it does have an instant adventure called Usher to Safety for a single white mana. That one says return target permanent you control to its owner's hand. Okay, so the 3/1 is just your average card. That's not that great. But the second part of it, the adventure, that's fantastic. You're going to be able to re-trigger your other adventures from before. Any other enters the battlefield effects. Like say you get the Charming Prince, you're going to be able to do that again. And then actually you could blink him and then be able to cast him as an adventure again. So, I think this is going to be a relatively high pick with the other adventure cards, because you're going to be able to re-trigger them. And you definitely want to do that. So, as the creature part, not that great. Instant part with the creature is so good. So, yeah, take it highly. You're going to want it in that adventure deck. Shining Armor. It's 1 and a white. Look at that. It's a knight in shining armor. It's an artifact equipment. It has flash, so you can cast it whenever. When it enters the battlefield, attach it to a target knight you control. Equipped creature gets +0/+2 and has vigilance, and has equip 3. If you're not in the knight deck, don't even bother drafting this card. It's useless. I mean, not useless. It does give your creature +0/+2 and vigilance, but without this, when the shining armor enters the battlefield, attach it to a knight. Without that, you're not going to want it. I'm telling you, it's just not very good. So if you're in a knight deck with 5 or 6 knights, yes, sure, take it. If you're not, just let somebody else have it. It's not that big a deal. Next, we have the Silver Flame Ritual. It's 3 and a white for a sorcery that says put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. I like that. And it's got upside too, adamant. If at least 3 white mana was spent to cast it, creatures you control gain vigilance until end of turn. Last time I remember this card, it also gave your creatures indestructible, which was really nice. But that card saw a lot of constructed play. This one costs 4 instead of 3 and doesn't give your creatures indestructible. So I'm assuming this one will not see nearly as much play as the last one. Unbreakable Formation. This seems like a fine limited card if you are going wide. If you have a lot of little 1/1 creatures, then yeah, of course this is going to be a fine card. I forget what the name of that made 2 1/1s. This is good with that spell. But make sure you're going wide. If you only put a 1/1 counter on one creature, you've wasted your time and money. Next we have Silver Flame Squire. It's 1 and a white for a 2/1 human soldier. That's it. No actual text on it, except it does have another adventure. It's called On Alert. It's 2 and a white for an instant. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn and untap it. So it's a battle trick and has a 2/1 creature attached to it. Again, just the 2/1 for 2, you're probably not going to play a lot. But with this adventure, you would play an instant that said +2/+2 and untap it. So getting the 2/1 on top of it for free, yeah, absolutely, take it. That seems good. Not great, but it definitely seems good. It's good for a common too. You'll be seeing a lot of those. You're going to be seeing a lot of battle tricks in white, at least. I mean, I haven't noticed the rest of them, the rest of the colors, but it seems like there's a lot of battle tricks that just, get creatures also with them. So people are going to be playing them. Next we have Sir Alan, the Lion's Claw. It's 3 white for a 4/4 legendary human knight with first strike. When Sir Alan the Lion's Claw attacks, each or other creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. This seems fantastic. I love everything about this card. 5 mana 4/4 is average. Give it first strike. That's slightly above, and the fact that it battle cries and gives everything else +1/+1. Yeah, love it, love it, love it, love it. So yeah, definitely take it highly. Next we have Trapped in the Tower. It's 1 and a white for an enchantment aura. Enchanted creature. Oh, you can only enchant a creature without flying because then it wouldn't be caught in the tower. Enchanted creature can't attack or block, and its activated abilities can't be activated. So this is going to hold any creature down for the foreseeable future until they get rid of the enchantment. They can get rid of it by just like disenchanting it or anything like that. Or they can actually give the creature flying at some point. If they do, then it can't enchant it anymore because it can only enchant a creature without flying. So just something to be aware of. If they have a way to make a creature fly, they could get rid of it. Or if you do, then you can get rid of it if someone uses this card on you. Otherwise, this is going to see play. This is definitely going to be limited all-star. It's just going to be stopping all the big creatures your opponents have. Next, we have True Love's Kiss. It's 2 white for an instant that says exile target artifact or enchantment and draw a card. I like everything about this card too. I don't like the casting cost as much. I wish it were like 3. Then it would be a really powerful card. Probably would only be... it would probably be moved up to a uncommon at that point. So, that's probably why. You're going to be seeing a lot of these. So we're going to be exiling enchantments and artifacts. There's a lot of playable ones, so you want to make sure you're using yours too. This is a main deckable card in Limited. You want to use these. Next we have Venerable Knight. It's a 1 mana, just 1 white mana, that's all. For a 2/1 human knight. When Venerable Knight dies, put a +1/+1 counter on target knight you control. If you're in the knight deck, yeah, absolutely you want this. In Constructed, this seems like a great card. 2 mana for 2 power, 1 mana creature is always playable, and when it dies, it moves that counter over to something else. So, yeah, this seems like a fine Constructed card and a fine Limited card. Next to last, the penultimate card, we have the Worthy Knight. It's 1 and a white for a 2/2 human knight. Whenever you cast a knight spell, create a 1/1 white human creature token. I love this. Oh, yeah. As we said before, a 2 mana 2/2 is always good. It has the knight name, so it has a lot of synergies with that. And anytime you cast another knight, create a 1/1 white human creature token. I can 100% see this being in Constructed in the knight deck. I can see this in Limited, making a ton of little white 1/1 humans. And if you use that +1/+1 counter on all your creatures card from earlier, yeah, this is going to be a fine, great card. Definitely take this pack 1, pick 1. And lastly, for white, we have the Youthful Knight. It's 1 and a white for a 2/1 human knight with first strike. I will always play this card. There's nothing wrong with this card at all. Just always take it and have fun with it. It's a 2/1 first striker for 2. Alright, so that's been fun. I think white looks pretty decent. A lot of knight synergies. A lot of adventure synergies. I did like the fact that it has a lot of things to destroy enchantments. What'd they have, like 2? Maybe just 1. But either way, white seems actually pretty decent this set. A lot better than the last one. So good luck, and I will talk to you later about the blue cards. Thanks for watching. See ya.